Yo, what's going on guys, Arekkz here, welcome back to another Destiny video, and in this video we're going to be talking about the hotfix 2.5.0.2. It is now live in game, so if you guys have been playing and perhaps you haven't restarted your game, then I would suggest you do so, although at some point later on today everyone will be kind of kicked out and forced to download it. But either way, it's live right now, and this is of course the one that, among other things, also addresses the kind of existing shotgun meta, changed a lot of things to try and rebalance the Crucible. So in this video, I'm going to go over all the complete patch notes to let you guys know exactly what has changed. So if you do enjoy this, then a like will be super appreciated. Any questions, drop them down below. But let's start at the top, speaking specifically about Crucible changes. First up, the changes to special ammo. As I mentioned in my previous video, they have adjusted the special ammo economy in all game types, so now players will start Crucible matches with special ammo. However, special ammo is now lost upon death. Sidearms, however, are not affected by this change. Special ammo crates will now appear every 60 seconds, and also the crates are now shared with allies within 75 meters, down from the previous 100. So it means you need to be 25 meters closer if you want to benefit from a teammate picking up the special. Also, special ammo timing in Mayhem is unchanged. On top of that, specifically for the elimination game mode, the round time limit has been reduced to 90 seconds, down from 2 minutes. And they've also made it so that players will only start with special ammo in round 1, but this is specifically for the elimination game type. Special ammo timing is now 30 seconds initial and then 45 seconds for the respawn, and special ammo is also wiped at the beginning of subsequent rounds. So if you still have special left over at the end of round 1, when you start round 2, it will be gone. Which should hopefully diversify some of the matches. It basically means you can kind of open with special in round 1 if you want to, and then of course going into round 2 you'll need to default to your primary until of course the respawn happens. So hopefully you get some more variety going there, hopefully you'll see fewer shotguns, of course fewer other specials in the process, but it does of course also mean you might want to consider some of those specials that do regenerate their ammo. Now moving on from there to weapon specific changes. Hand cannons up first, they have significantly increased the initial accuracy, that is of course the accuracy of your first bullet, and this returns to how it was in year 1. They've also reduced the base range to 35 meters, down from the previous 40 meters. They've reduced the aim assist and the magnetism at longer ranges, and they have reduced minimum damage after fall off from 50% to 33%. So if you're using the weapon at maximum velocity, then of course at the kind of fall off point, that is of course where that will kick in. After that, moving over to auto rifles, they have increased the precision damage modifier to 1.3 times, up from 1.25. They've also increased the base damage of low rate of fire auto rifles by 2.5%, and they've also increased inner accuracy for this weapon type. Pulse rifles have seen a 7.7% reduction in rate of fire for the very high rate of fire pulse rifles, but they've also seen a 5.3% increase to rate of fire for the low rate of fire pulse rifles. In other words, they're trying to kind of lessen the gap between them, so the super fast ones are slightly slower, the slow ones are slightly faster. They've also reduced the magazine size for specifically Clever Dragon and Grasp of Malak by 6. They've reduced the effect of high caliber rounds for pulse rifles, and again increased the inner accuracy. For scout rifles, nothing really noteworthy aside from, again, the inner accuracy change, so this archetype has of course also seen an increase. And then shotguns, this is of course the big one. Shotguns no longer deal precision damage. The Chaperone and the Universal Remote are however unaffected by this because of course they're designed around this. They fire different types of shots, I believe it's kind of a slug shot as opposed to a buckshot. However, it is worth noting that Universal Remote will only deal precision damage if you aim down sights, so of course that is something to factor in if you use that weapon. Shotguns now also have significantly less magnetism when fired from the hip. They also have significantly less in-air accuracy. Shotguns will no longer have a movement penalty, but they do now deal 20% more damage to combatants. Now it's important to kind of call that one out because it doesn't actually specifically say it in the hotfix, but they did say it on the stream. That, as I understand it, is specifically for PvE, basically to make up for some of these changes that they have done to shotguns for PvP. They wanted to still make them potent in PvE, so they've basically buffed the damage. In the live stream they stated that it's specifically for PvE, so the fact that it's not called out here might be a little bit confusing, but I believe, it's my understanding, that is only a PvE change. So they haven't basically just kind of taken some of this stuff off and then made shotguns more powerful. Either way, on top of that, rangefinder on shotguns now increases your ADS time by 25%. They've also reduced the Universal Remote's magazine size to 3, down from 5. And finally, Universal Remote now takes longer to reload. After that, speaking specifically about exotics, 2 things called out here. Young Wolf's Howl, they've reduced the Howling Flames ammo cost from 10 to 5. And Truth, they have reduced the magazine size from 3 down to 1. Then after that, moving over to classes, firstly under the general section, they've reduced the health of Guardians with armor values above 10. They have also increased the damage of flux and magnetic grenades and shoulder charge to ensure its effectiveness across all armor values. And Blink now disables your radar and your HUD for a short time after activation. This is of course the Blink nerf, and for those of you guys that want to see what it looks something like this. Then speaking specifically about the Hunter, your throwing knife now deals solar damage on impact. And for Hungering Blade, it now immediately starts health regen. It restores more health per kill, however it does give a flat amount of health and shield per activation, and it doesn't immediately start regenerating shields. It is also worth noting, as a sort of adverse effect of this change, Bungie noticed on the run up to deploying this hotfix that the change to Hungering Blade also affected a few other things as well. However, they didn't want it to kind of delay the hotfix, and they feel that after testing it in the sandbox environment internally, they are still happy with how the game feels, but they will also be monitoring player feedback to see how people respond to these changes. The long and short of it is, the Hungering Blade change has also affected Transfusion for Striker Titans, Cauterize for Sunbreaker Titans, Lifesteal for Voidwalker Warlocks, the Red Death perk, the Suros Legacy perk on Suros Regime, the No Backup Plans, the Ward of Dawn cast, the Ram, the Apotheosis Veil, and Embrace the Void for Voidwalker Warlocks. Basically, any of those kind of talents that will give you some sort of healing, they will have a slightly lessened effect in line with the Hungering Blade. So again, test it out, see how it feels. It might not be something that you notice too much, but if it is, then of course, give Bungie feedback, and they are of course monitoring this closely. Also, final one for Blade Dancers, the Quick Draw perk no longer readies your weapon instantly, but it now grants a large increase to your weapon handling speed. Next up, Warlock's Viper Totemic on the Ophidian aspect no longer readies your weapon instantly, but it now also grants you a large increase to weapon handling speed, so similar to Blade Dancers. The Stormcaller Thunderstrike melee range has been reduced to be consistent with other Warlock subclasses, but Amplitude will continue to grant small range boost to the new base range. And finally, Landfall now reduces the total time in Storm Trance. Finally for Titans, only one change here. Juggernaut is now disabled after being in the air for a short time and cannot be activated while in mid-air. So those are the main changes. There are however a few more things under the general section. First up, Outbreak Prime no longer triggers the corruption spreads by shooting at Ward of Dawn. Shinobu's Vow will no longer add an additional Seeker to skip grenades. They've removed the intrinsic perk Knee Pads and Icarus on some talent grids. And they fixed an issue where high caliber rounds were not functioning properly on hand cannons, scout rifles, machine guns, and sniper rifles. And that, my friends, is pretty much it. Those are all the changes in the hotfix. I will, of course, leave the Bungie post in the description box down below if you guys want to read it for yourself. But for the time being, that is what is new in Destiny right now. So jump in, give it a good test out, see how you feel about it, and of course, be sure to provide Bungie with feedback if something doesn't feel right. But for the time being, that's pretty much it. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, take it easy, catch you next time, peace out.